watching the South Texas News Leader. This is 3 News at 5.
The Corpus Christi Police Chief speaking with 3 News about the officers who were injured last week in the line of duty. New details as we walk through what led to the shooting. Plus, a look at some of the possible upgrades coming to Packery Channel. Find out what city officials want to add and also how much it could cost. And as we start the newscast, another strong cold front headed for the coastal bend. We'll take a look at what's ahead and how to prepare for the overnight hours. Well, good evening and thanks so much for joining us here. Just when you thought things were warming up again, a cold wind is blowing across the state and will soon be making its way to our part of the coastal bend. Now that has folks once again looking to make sure that they are ready for the chill and have a way to stay warm. First at 5, we're going to check in with our chief meteorologist, Carly Smith, for a look at the particulars of tonight's front. Carly?
Yeah, Mike, check it out. This was our high earlier today. So we were at 73 in Corpus Christi, 74 Robstown, 75 Kingsville, 76 there, the warm spot in Falfurrias. So our temperature in Corpus Christi is going from 73 to 57. So overall, this is a moderate front. The last front we experienced was a very strong front. This one more so moderate, but it is going to knock our temperatures down and shift our wind. That'll come later on this evening. So we're already starting to see the wind shift just to our north. By 10 p.m. we're getting northeast winds there across our northern counties. The front slides through by midnight. This model showing some light rain. That's going to be way up in the atmosphere. I think at the surface we're going to be too dry, but we will have some cloud coverage that sticks around into Friday morning. That's going to keep our temperatures in the 40s. We'll have a north wind with gusts around 22 miles per hour. That gust picks up 25 to 30 miles per hour. Again, this model, I think overdoing it on the green you're seeing. Now some mist could be possible, but otherwise I don't see much rain, if any rain at all, with this cold front. We are going to see temperatures in the 50s Friday afternoon. Then we clear the skies out, and this is when things start to get a little interesting. And by interesting, I mean we're going to near freezing on Saturday. However, it looks like we won't reach freezing until we get into Sunday. So freezing temperatures are possible Saturday, but they're likely on Sunday. I don't see rain. That model was showing rain, but more clouds do develop overnight. We'll get a north wind, and those wind chills could be back in the 20s by Sunday morning. We'll continue to track this cold front and the chance of some freezing temperatures returning coming up, Mike.
All right, Carly, thank you for that report. We'll check in with her again in just a bit. Well, new at 5, it has now been nearly a week since a shooting that injured 3 Corpus Christi police officers. Yesterday, 3 News reported on key new details from the arrest documents that say suspect Ricardo Rojas was searched for weapons before being placed in the back of a police vehicle. After checking his van for evidence tied to an earlier murder, officers returned to the patrol car when Rojas reportedly shot at them from the back seat. Well, today, our Natalia Osuna sat down with CCPD Chief Mike Markle as he clarified how it all unfolded. Natalia?
Mike, well, fortunately, none of the officers were killed, although one remains hospitalized in critical condition. Like you said, court documents show that Ricardo Rojas apparently had a gun on him, despite being patted down by police. It also shows Rojas used a gun to shoot at the officers from the back seat of a squad car. Now let's recap here. It began with a previous connected shooting near Ayers and McCardle, where 39-year-old Daniel Suarez was killed. According to the affidavit, after getting a witness description of the suspect's vehicle, officers Mauro, Flores, and Castro stopped a white van driven by Rojas. Officers ordered Rojas out of the van, and he was patted down for weapons, then placed in a squad car. After checking the van for evidence tied to the homicide, officers returned to the patrol unit. As one officer opened the rear door, Rojas opened fire. Officer Alexandria Cano Castro was grazed and shot in the head. Flores was hit in the arm, and Mauro was struck by shrapnel. Afterward, the officers returned fire, hitting Rojas in the legs. He and the injured officers were taken to the hospital, and after being treated for gunshot wounds, Rojas was taken into custody at the city detention center. The affidavit raises some key questions, particularly was Rojas handcuffed, and how did he still have a weapon after being searched? Corpus Christi Police Chief Mike Markle says officers had to make a judgment call based on the situation. Why was he not handcuffed in that moment?
He wasn't, because that's a decision they made. That's a decision they made based on what they had at the time. So again, those are the things that are reviewed and discussed. And is there a change in policy needed? I don't think so. I think we trained very well. I think, but we'll reinforce training, reinforce, the need to be very, very safe.
Rojas faces 4 counts of attempted capital murder, 1 count of murder, and unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon. Chief Markle saying he wants to emphasize that Rojas is the one at fault in this shooting, and he doesn't want these details to impact the integrity of the case. And later on 3 News at 6, we'll hear more from our chat with Chief Markle, who gives an update on the condition of Officer Castro-Cano, who is still in the hospital recovering, and new details on Rojas' 4 counts of attempted capital murder. Mike.
Natalia, before you go here, I want to do a little math. You mentioned that Rojas faces 4 counts of attempted capital murder. Now, we know that 3 officers were injured, so give me an idea, where does that 4th count come from?
Yeah, Mike, that's a good question. Well, it's another interesting detail we learned today. Chief Markle said Rojas faces those 4 counts because he pointed his gun at a 4th officer but did not strike him.
All right, that makes sense then. Natalia Osuna reporting for us tonight. Thank you, Natalia. Well, members of the American GI Forum of South Texas gathered today to honor civil rights leader Dr. Hector P. Garcia. The gathering happening at Dr. Garcia's gravesite at Seaside Memorial Park. Garcia, a World War II veteran and physician, founded the American GI Forum in 1948 to fight for equality and to advocate for Mexican-American veterans. Organizers say the event was a way to celebrate his legacy and inspire future generations to continue the fight for civil rights.
Definitely very important. He's an inspiration to a lot of folks, and played a vital role in educating our veterans. He did more than just education. He was a civil rights crusader, and as the founder of the American GI Forum, you see his legacy just lives on.
The ceremony included prayers, speeches, and a wreath laying as veterans and community members reflected on Garcia's lasting impact. Today would have been Dr. Garcia's 112th birthday. Big upgrades could be coming to Packery Channel. This week, the Corpus Christi City Council voted to move forward with submitting a grant application through the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. 3 News reporter Lydia Herrera is here now with what the community could see coming to that area. Lydia.
That's right, Mike. The Parks and Rec Department is working to secure funding for upgrades at Packery Channel, a popular spot for boat launches and fishing. While the plans could bring major improvements, city officials say it would still take some time before visitors see construction get underway. One after another, boats are launched at Packery Island on a regular basis.
This is a rather large and highly utilized boat ramp for this region, and so being able to put some repairs into that, add some enhancements, bring it a lot more modern, that really does improve the experience for everybody using this.
City Council member Kaylin Paxson says the boat ramp area hasn't been touched since 2006. Robert Dodd with the city's Park and Rec Department says this is a much needed renovation.
We're looking at designing 2 boat access ramps as well as a new restroom facilities. We have porta potties out there now, but we want to make it again a little bit more convenient for our boaters and fishermen out there.
Nancy and Dan McGraw say they enjoy fishing on Packery Channel and know firsthand what it's like to launch boats.
I forgot to put the plug in, so it's filling up with the water, and she runs the bag. Pretty soon I thought we were going to tip, and but
yeah,
we finally
had some
got
adventures on our boat.
Yeah.
They say this area is one of their favorites and are looking forward to the renovations.
That's very nice.
Any improvements made, it'll just get more visitors and more people that want to fish here.
Paxton says the city has applied for a Texas Parks and Wildlife Department grant, which would cover most of the funding for the project.
So this is a matching grant, and what that is like 75% of this project would be covered under the grant, and that keeps our contribution very low, and that just helps us with being able to stretch our funding locally into not only doing this kind of a project, but doing other projects that would qualify under this funding. It just maximizes our dollar.
But most importantly, the upgrades to the boat ramp could save lives.
Having quick access to water rescues, very important. This area, we see so many people out on the beaches, and so having apparatuses like this that allow our first responders to get there very quickly is essential.
DOT says the grant is expected to be awarded in September, at which point the department will move on to planning and design. Mike, back to you.
All right, Lydia, good news for a whole lot of folks out there. Thank you for that. Well, a warm day across the area, but as she did with last weekend's bitter cold, Carly Smith is tracking this change in our weather, and she's here now with more. Carly?
Yeah, Mike, we've got another chance at a freeze here in the coastal bend. So what only happens on average 4 times a year? We've had 5 recorded so far this year, going on 6 if we make it to the big 32 degrees coming up on Sunday morning. So morning lows at or below 32 have already happened 5 times this year. Typically they average out to happen about 4 times any given winter. So we are tracking a freeze likely. I'm not all in on everybody reaching freezing at this point, but a freeze is likely Sunday morning. Some temperatures in our northern counties could fall into more so the upper 20s, most of us in the low 30s. Wind chills though will be likely in the 20s. So you still want to protect the 4 Ps, even your pipes. I would suggest just keeping the outside stuff you've already put on them for at least one more weekend. The indoor pipes, you may not have to drip your pipes, but it doesn't hurt to open up the cabinets. So stay indoors with heat if you can, dress warmly. This is mostly in the early morning hours. We're not going to be quite as cold into the afternoon. So let's break down a reminder, the difference between a light freeze and a hard freeze. Right now we're tracking mostly a light freeze, with areas like Beeville possibly getting to the hard freeze level. So a light freeze Sunday morning would be temperatures 29 to 32 degrees just for several hours, which mostly damages tender vegetation, and you'll want to protect your pets. Hard freeze is when we start talking pipes being impacted. That's after 4 hours. So if we have 4 hours at or below 28 degrees, that's when your pipes are at a risk of freezing. So here's what we're looking at Sunday morning. Not as cold as last weekend, but we could get some 20s across those northern counties. This is where the hard freeze is most likely. It does look like areas like Rockport may not be quite as cold with this freeze, but 32 is possible. 28 to 32, a freeze is likely for inland locations, coastal locations, including most of Corpus Christi, likely reaching just barely 32, if not staying above 32. So we'll break down your complete forecast coming up, but again, we are going to be nearing freezing Saturday morning, but it's Sunday morning that a freeze is more likely at this time. Mike.
All right, thank you, Carly. Stay with us. We've got more news after the break.
Accidents can change a life in an instant. Every day, Thomas J. Henry fights to make it right. Thomas J. Henry, the name you know, the firm you trust. Ken Paxton isn't just corrupt, he's weird. Paxton's been caught in multiple affairs, resulting in his wife divorcing him. As AG, Paxton cashed in on your dime, pocketing $2 million from a taxpayer-funded contract. His staff turned him in for bribery and corruption. He fired them, violating the Whistleblower Act and costing Texas taxpayers millions, breaking the law. Ken Paxton, too corrupt, too weird to be our senator. Texans for conservative majorities responsible for the content of this ad.
I reached up to the vent.
Oh, we do have a replay of that.
That is cold air I'm feeling there, Carrie.
I am seeing that.
But in the end, we made the right call.
To 1 hour.
They installed the new unit, kept their cool, and really made the team comfortable.
For more live comfort updates, follow us at onehourheatandair.com.
Call Sam. He's born to win. Call Sam. He's born to win, to win. Car wrecks. Win. Truck wrecks. Win. Personal injury. Win, win. Call Sam. He's born to win. Call Sam. He's born to win, to win. Call Sam.
With the 2026 Tacoma, you can do whatever you want.
Qualify for a new 2026 Tacoma SR5 for $289 a month for 39 months.
Toyota, let's go places.
Do you want free internet? Forever? You got it. Really. We mean it. Spectrum is offering free fiber-powered internet forever. Want it? Just call this number and switch 4 mobile lines to Spectrum for a lifetime of internet you never pay for. It's not a trial, it's an unprecedented offer. So we'll say it again. Free fiber-powered internet forever. Have you called yet? Because your internet is forever. But this ad ends now.
President Trump endorses Dan Patrick's re-election campaign.
He's an amazing politician, lieutenant governor, and he's a man of great religion. Dan Patrick, one of the most highly respected men in politics. We worked on something having to do with school choice, and we knocked it over the fences, and that's the ultimate school choice in Texas, and he's been fighting for it for years.
Re-elect Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick.
I am giving him my complete and total endorsement.
Thomas J. Henry, the name you know, the firm you trust.
Don't miss out. Scan the square. It's all right there. Scan our QR code and download the 3 News app today. 3 News, known and trusted.
Welcome back. 75 years of tradition alive and well at the Clayburgh-Kennedy County Junior Livestock Show. Young people learning skills that go far beyond the show ring as it helps shape the next generation of agriculture leaders. One of this year's showmanship champions is 11-year-old Jordan Butler, who tells us about what it takes to win that belt buckle.
I've learned responsibility a lot, because if you really want to try to win or win something, you got to get up in the middle of the night and to go check your animals, especially in the morning when you might not want to get up. And it's been really cold the past couple of months. Going out there in a shirt and jeans is not fun. But you got to really do what you want to do if you want to try to win.
And the early mornings and the hard work are also about building character, confidence, and a strong work ethic while raising future leaders for the community. Well, more than 300 cold-stunned sea turtles are back in the Gulf today after spending rehabilitation time at the Texas State Aquarium. Officials say the turtles were rescued after cold water temperatures dropped below 55 degrees, leaving them unable to swim and vulnerable to injury. The aquarium worked with local, state, and federal partners to warm and treat the animals before today's release.
I think this is absolutely amazing. It really kind of touches your heart to see them. And even some of the ladies and gentlemen out there releasing the turtles, and they have tears in their eyes because they're just so overwhelmed.
Wildlife officials say sea turtles are a keystone species, and efforts like this help to protect the health of the entire ecosystem. So a lot of folks always working pretty hard to make sure those turtles are safe and they don't get too cold out in that water.
Yeah, we do have another cold front coming our way, but a big difference between last week's cold front and this week's cold front is we're going to have sunshine following that front. And so that helps the sea surface temperatures typically stay a little bit warmer, because the sun really just heats the water up a little bit more efficiently. But we are expecting some cold temperatures to return, and those sea surface temperatures are still in the mid-50s across many of our local waterways, including up toward Rockport, 55.2 there between Copano Bay and Aransas Bay, 56 there at the entrance of Port Aransas, so at the entrance of the channel, 59 at Packery Channel at the JFK Causeway, 56 there in Corpus Christi Bay, 56.8 a little bit further down toward Bird Island Basin, and then finally we're at 61 degrees there at Baffin Bay, so Baffin Bay warming up more efficiently. Pretty flat conditions out on the water today. Those waves will pick up with our cold front moving through tonight, so we've got 2-foot swells well offshore every 7 seconds or so. As I mentioned, that's going to ramp up, so hazardous conditions out at sea as we head into tomorrow. We'll have some stronger winds along our coast as well. 65 degrees right now on our beach camera, our Coastal Parks beach camera. Temperatures across the area still holding on to the 70s as we head into this afternoon, but a cold front is set to move through. So here shortly, we're going to start to see the wind shifting there in George Weston Beeville. Then as we get closer to about 11 o'clock tonight, that front is expected to move through Corpus Christi, passing through the area by 2 a.m. And so we are looking at roughly a 15-16 degree temperature difference between our highs today and our highs on Friday. So the front is not our strongest front, but it is going to change our weather just a bit. We will see clouds develop behind the front. So I mentioned the weekend being sunny. Friday, especially overnight tonight into Friday morning, we're going to start things off cloudy. So that will have lows in the 40s. We could have a few upper 30s get reached before we start to see the sun come up. But I think for the most part, we're in the 40s across the board. We will have a breezy northeast wind in the region. That will continue shifting a little bit more north into Friday. Temperatures still look like they make it into the upper 50s and low 60s on your Friday. Our normal high for this time of year is 69, but overall we are looking at colder temperatures on Friday and then even colder temperatures on Saturday as the Arctic air is pushed a little bit further south as high pressure builds to our north. So that high pressure will keep us sunny. We've got 55 degrees on the map for Saturday afternoon. That's the coldest day all day long, starting things off at 35. But it's Sunday. We're highlighting the chance for a freeze area wide. We'll be close Saturday, but it's Sunday that we have a better opportunity of reaching that freezing mark. So that's going to come with the cold front passing through. We will see temperatures falling as this colder air, as I mentioned, as this high pressure builds, that increases the pressure gradient. I've been mentioning this all week long, but the coldest air is going to be over the southeast. Meanwhile, for us, though, we're still getting those northeast winds bringing some Arctic air into the area. So that's why we're watching for the chance of a freeze Saturday, but the likelihood of a freeze on Sunday. This is the storm system that's set to bring some snow to the Carolinas. But as you see into Sunday, high pressure really just building over Texas and South Texas, a few clouds overnight into Monday, but we start to see our wind shifting back out of the south on Monday. That's going to help warm us up. So our cold snap not quite as long, but what you still need to do is bring your pets inside, protect your plants, cover at least the outdoor pipes. And then people, of course, we've got to still wear our layers, especially heading into Sunday morning. A hard freeze is possible for our northern counties. 32 is what we've been consistently forecasting for the temperature there on Sunday. So that's increasing our confidence that there is at least a chance that inland Corpus Christi and inland Nueces County sees freezing conditions. Then we will warm up again into next week. We've got more news coming up. Stick around.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services.
A big truck's crashing into me. I'm glad we caught Attorney Wainwright. Knock, knock. It's Wainwright Lawyers. We won and we brought your check. Hey!
You need real money. Get Wainwright Injury Lawyers.
Hurry, it's happening now through Monday at Rooms to Go. Shop 100 perfect picks, each just $9.99 or less. Picture it, your home, fully furnished in your style, with living rooms, bedrooms, and dining rooms, each for $9.99 or less. So many stylish options, each $9.99 or less. And it gets even better. Finance for as low as $20 or less per month, interest-free for 50 months. Plus, free doorway delivery. Don't wait. Offer ends Monday at Rooms to Go.
For over 30 years, Thomas J. Henry has been in the fight for those who have been injured in Texas. With over $1 billion delivered to our clients in the last 4 years and more than 13,000 five-star reviews, our dedication to life-changing results is clear. But don't just take our word for it. Hear from those who've experienced the difference. Thomas J. Henry, the name you know, the firm you trust.
When I was 28, I almost died. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. When I picked up my first insulin prescription, it cost me $684. I couldn't afford that. Most Texans can't either. So when I got to the Texas house, I took on Big Pharma and capped insulin at $25 a month. I'm James Tallarico. I know what it means to fight for my life. I approve this message because in the Senate, I'll fight for yours.
My father started our law firm right here in Texas over 60 years ago. He always said, helping people isn't just what we do, it is who we are.
And every injured client we take on, we fight for, like family.
because that's what our clients are.
When life takes a turn, you deserve someone who's been down this road before and knows how to get results. At the Edwards Law Firm, we have stood by Texans for generations, and when it matters most, we'll stand by you.
Hello, this is a collect call from an inmate.
Cap, you okay? You got all clammy when you got that call. Cap?
A large crowd gathered late last night in Minneapolis to remember Alex Pretty. He's the ICU nurse who was shot and killed during protests over federal immigration enforcement. Now, sources say the 2 federal officers involved have been placed on paid administrative leave. The Department of Homeland Security says newly released video appears to show Pretty in a confrontation with federal agents just days before his death.
President Trump and I, along with others in the administration, have recognized that certain improvements could and should be made. I don't want to see anybody die. For the people out there who don't like what ICE is doing, if you want certain laws reformed, then take it up with Congress.
Democrats are now blocking Homeland Security funding. It raises the possibility of a partial government shutdown Friday night. The White House says targeted immigration enforcement will continue. And here at home, nurses from Corpus Christi Medical Center are joining that national movement tonight. They're holding a vigil to honor Alex Pretty and others killed in federal enforcement incidents. It starts at 6:45 at Doctors Regional Medical Center near Ray High School. They are calling on Congress to stop additional funding for ICE and reverse current funding levels. We'll hear more from them tonight on 3 News at 10. Well, stay with us. We'll be right back with a look at some of what we're working on for 3 News at 6.